Hello again, friends, and you are our friends, and welcome back to another edition of Jim Cornette's Drive Thru right here, wherever it is that you have pulled up to on this frigid morning. I'm assuming it's frigid wherever you are. It's frigid in most of the country right now. I am your host, the great Brian Last, and the man who will be answering your questions, which are sent in via email to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com or on Twitter using the hashtag CornyDriveThru, is one of the most popular figures in professional wrestling today, Mr. Warmth, Jim Cornette.
Mr. Warmth. I'm freezing too here. It's freezing. You know, the weather report is Brian Last is twisting in the wind. That's the weather report after that open where you're trying so hard at the start. Hello again, Frey. You sounded more like Sammy Terry on WTTV4 Bloomington. For the folks in central Indiana that have long memories, more say, hello, friend, because you're sick.
Yes.
But you have sucked it up, and you are here to perform and educate and illuminate and elucidate the fans and the Cult of Cornette members today. And for that, we kudo you. We bow down and kudo you for fighting through the pain and the illness.
I appreciate that, but if we're going to say things that are correct, you're the one who will be doing the illumination today. I'll just be setting up the illumination.
Well, we're going to illuminate, elucidate, informate. Except I don't know when you said hello, friends, and you are our friends. You know, maybe people don't want to be my friend anymore because I've done it again. I've pissed a bunch of people off. People are up in arms. They got the pitchforks out. They're lighting the torches. They're assembling the angry mob. Rounding up the posse, going after the varmints that have headed across the trail after committing the offense. I'm just not ready for polite society, Brian. We're bridging from the Jim Cornette experience this past week. We want to keep on top of this while it's topical, and also because it's so goddamn funny. What is the matter with people? Have you all lost your rabbit-ass minds, ladies? Well, not you, Cult of Cornette members, but there are some people out there, and we were actually just talking about this, I think, on the same program, where they've done it again. Some people out there just cannot get the fucking point or the picture or grasp the information or the statements or the humor in some cases. They do not understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. So this past week, we'll tell you what the fallout is in a second. But this past week, we were talking about the All Elite Wrestling pay-per-view, and it's usually one of the All Elite Wrestling fans that are up in arms over something. The ones that say Cornette lives with hatred and it boils inside him, and he's so vitriolic and he just hates and he's so bitter, that they're the ones that flip their fucking shit over anything that is said about their favorite wrestlers, to the likes of which dedication like this used to be reserved for Leif Garrett and Bobby Sherman and David Cassidy and Sean Cassidy and all the little teeny bopper idols, where you would have a picture a poster up on the bedroom wall when you were 14 and a little girl and in grade school or high school, dedication like that. Or I believe it was Jim Hurd that once told Jim Ross about me when he was trying to split me and the Midnight Express up. I haven't seen a loyalty like that since Korea. If you say anything about their little company and their little play wrestlers and their little fucking favorites, they go out of their mind, but they also cannot hear and understand what's going on. So we have a wonderful example of this on this fine morning, and I want to play. Actually, I want you to play what I said pretty much in passing when we were talking about the All Elite Wrestling pay-per-view about the ring announcer Justin Roberts. And I've met Justin. I know I met him once. I may have met him twice. Fine guy. What you see on camera, he's a very happy person, right? But we didn't have any issues or any bad words or whatever, and there's no heat with Justin Roberts. But I was remarking on Justin Roberts' fucking permagrin, his goddamn perpetual happiness and cheerfulness. And so play the comments that we made about Justin in passing while we were talking about the pay-per-view, and then we'll come back and we'll tell you what everybody heard from that.
Well, there were actually two different moments where you discussed Justin Roberts, or we discussed Justin Roberts. The first one was in reference to a letter you had received about something we had previously talked about.
Yes,
the barricades around the ring in AEW. So we'll play that one first.
Yes. Speaking of, I do have an email. I've got this. I need to read this. We should have saved this for the AEW review, but nevertheless, I'm going to get it out of the way. Funny thing, you mentioned the guardrail last week. You were right. This is Jonah writing. You were right about AEW wrestlers hitting the guardrails too hard. I was there in Charlotte, 4th row from the front on the hard camera side. During the Pac match, one of the wrestlers threw the other into the guardrail, and some kid in the first row got his elbow skinned because he was leaning on it. The elbow wasn't horrible, but an injury is still an injury. After the match, during the commercial break, Justin Roberts came up to console the little guy to no avail. Justin Roberts looks like he ought to be registered somewhere, be around children.
Ooh.
No, he's so happy. You see a fucking guy dressed up like that with that big smile coming across his face, coming towards your kids, run. Anyway, even after the show, the Elite came out and made sure to hook him up with merchandise while they were thanking the crowd. My question to you, how would you respond to a fan getting injured?
And there's the first part, Jim.
Well, yes, and we went on to answer that question. I think Justin was out of the conversation at that point, but then we went back to the pay-per-view later on in the program.
And let's play that.
The first thing I wrote, why is Justin Roberts so goddamn cheerful? It's just he's so happy to be there.
I put on Twitter, why don't they hire Bruce Buffer? They've got a billionaire's budget. Hire the best guy.
There you go. And not Michael Buffer like the last time wrestling was on Turner Networks. The black sheep of the Buffer family. Hire Bruce, the good one that gives a shit, does a good job.
I'm sure he's a nice guy. Justin Roberts is just not good as a ring announcer.
Well, it just, once again, so much cheerfulness. So much cheerfulness. Anyway.
And there it is, Jim. That's the second mention from this past week's show.
Okay. I swear to you, if I'm lying and I'm flying and my feet ain't left the ground, the headlines on one or more of these outlaw mud show wrestling news sites within, 12 hours of that program, Jim Cornette brands Justin Roberts a child molester and pedophile. Jim Cornette calls Justin Roberts a... What the fuck? I don't even know how to respond to you fucking people. Listen to this email that I got from some dipshit. And this is why that a lot of things are going on in society today. Because people either read about what somebody said from somebody else, a la Fox News. If you watch Fox News, obviously you think Trump is a fucking not only a good president, but innocent. If you listen to anybody else in the goddamn known world that's talking about the impeachment trial or anything else that's actually happening, the opposite is true. People either hear shit and they, oh my God, he's serious, or they read shit and they read the headline and probably don't even read the article and go, oh my God, how could he say that? So listen to this from John of, I don't know where he's from, whatever the fuck, but he has resigned from the cult of Cornette. This email came in. As of November 16, 2019 at 7:50 a.m., I hereby tender my resignation from the cult. I have a feeling that you're serious about recent comments that you've made. And however, these comments such as these have no place in society. Wait a minute, I'm trying, because this is like 14 fucking paragraphs. So I'm trying to go through this. He's a tenured law enforcement officer of nearly 20 years. He also claims to have a degree in psychology. This guy, whatever, but basically, with the comments directed at Justin Roberts, I personally hope he decides to sue you for defamation of character and slander. I have investigated civil cases such as this, and seen what happens to a person who has been wrongly accused of crimes by slander. In no lesser terms, to call someone a pervert or child molester without cause or evidence has irreparable effects on the wrongly accused. Imagine, Brian, John says here, imagine if All Elite Wrestling fired Justin Roberts because of this.
Oh, come on.
Imagine if no one employed Justin Roberts because they all believe you. Imagine this is where imagine if Justin Roberts committed suicide.
Oh, come on.
Because of all the emotional trauma he endured because you shot your mouth off. It would be hilarious if Stephen P. New represented Roberts as a reversal of fortune in your case. Yeah, it would be hilarious because Stephen A. doesn't take cases where there is no case. And B, I would point out that if Justin Roberts committed suicide because of the emotional trauma that he endured for what I said about him, Stephen P. New wouldn't be representing him. He'd be representing his family, but that would be act like I'm joking about suicide, that a suicide that didn't take place and is not going to, and that this guy is drummed up and that is. Imagine, Brian, if little green men from Mars came down and anal probed the fuck out of Justin Roberts. Imagine how would I'd feel pretty damn shitty. And depending on the quality of the anal probing, Justin Roberts may feel shitty as well. Imagine if that happened.
Imagine if a gang of angry 9-year-olds hear this and say, we need to be proactive and take this guy out.
Imagine if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his ass on the ground. What the fuck? No, I can assure you, I think everybody can assure you, John, that All Elite Wrestling is not going to fire Justin Roberts, that nobody else is going to not employ Justin Roberts because they believed me and what you apparently think that I said that I didn't say because it was a joke that everybody fucking figured. I don't remember the words molester, pervert, pedophile. It uses pedophile in here. So this guy wrote 14 fucking paragraphs, including, he apparently is a tenured law enforcement officer of nearly 20 years and has a degree in psychology. Yet from the comments that we played, he's got Justin Roberts ready to be laid out and have words spoken over him and put in the ground.
That's crazy.
And there's real shit going on in the world. And this is these people. And how can the world, could Jim Cornette be such a horrible person? If I said all the things that people think I said, I'd probably have a lot more money.
He's toxic.
He's toxic.
No, toxic. He should stay away. Don't watch it if you don't like it and say nothing. Let us celebrate and enjoy what we like.
And it's funny that all the people who like the show, and by the way, those numbers are growing every day. We keep. I don't want to be like you and not humble. You're very not humble, Brian.
That's not true.
The great Brian Last, but I'm humble. I'm humble and lovable. And I don't like to brag about the millions of people that are listening to us on a constant basis, but apparently let them enjoy what they enjoy. You fucking moron.
No, they're on the wrong side.
They can't stand it. And, I'll just go off on this little tangent and we'll get back to the program. They can't stand it. You know why they can't stand it? Because I don't give a shit. They can't stand it because the other fucking wrestling personalities who cater to these fucking morons, I'm talking about, and when I say morons, I'm talking about the cosplay wrestlers, the bullshit wrestlers, and the people that think that they're so fucking great and I'm so toxic. Some people lend their credibility to these people because they don't give a shit about the business, or they have no principles, or they want to fucking pay off, or whatever their fucking issue is. And it drives them up the wall because I don't need to do that. And I don't understand why that somebody is so upset that I have principles and that I don't need the work that I don't want because I don't want to be involved with this horse shit. And we're going to talk about a few good things, as a matter of fact, here later on in just a few minutes, about modern wrestling. But yes, while there are good things, and when we speak of them, nobody repeats it because It doesn't fit the fucking story they want to tell. And there's also a bunch of stupid things. And I'm going to talk about stupid things because they offend me. It's the same thing as all the whistleblowers and all the people now in the deep state that are finally being given a chance to come out and tell what they've been enduring under this fucking goof in the White House, because they are offended as career State Department officials and as career security officials and as people who have done this for 20 and 30 and 40 years. They are offended when some dipshit comes in and starts fucking everything up and causes a goddamn international fiasco. Only in their case, it's the difference in whether tens of thousands and millions of people get killed and the world order as it exists today. Important shit. And they are finally getting the opportunity to come out and say, no, this offends me. This should not be allowed to happen. And it's the same thing here, only we're not talking about, thankfully, the world getting blown up. We're just talking about, fuck you. If wrestling has to evolve into a goddamn cosplay scenario where a bunch of fucking jackoffs off the street can come in and do whatever fake phony shit they want to do because they think it's funny, and a bunch of goddamn video game fucking playing goddamn virgin fucking wannabes who see in these people in the ring themselves because they look exactly alike, want to fucking come into the goddamn wrestling arena and be fans of this kind of wrestling because it's funny and silly and goofy. Fuck you too. I'm standing up for me, and I'm standing up for the people who liked fucking pro wrestling, even if it's not existing anymore, except in certain fucking pockets here and there in some of these programs. We still like it, and we hate to see the shit get spit on, snotted on, kicked on, have lollipops fucking pulled out of people's asses and shoved in the collective wrestling business's mouth. No, dick boy, wrestling is not a fucking community. And a community and a family. What wrestling is for you is because you were so, by the way, that's what he tweeted. What wrestling is for you, dick boy, because you're so untalented at doing it the right way, is a chance to come into a business, make a fucking mockery out of it, bring a bunch of people to a building that want to see you pull shit out of your fucking ass and stick it in somebody else's mouth. And you capitalize on that to your fucking financial benefit and to the rest of the business's reputation. You don't give a shit because it's all you can do, and you take advantage of these weak-minded people and take their fucking money. You're the one that doesn't give a shit about anybody, and you're as disingenuous as can be. You're just doing this to make a fucking living. Whereas I've done this and made a fucking living by doing it the right way, to the point now where I don't have to fucking come groveling to people and ask for a job in a fucking bar getting flipped by somebody's dick. And they can't stand it. And he don't want to change. He don't want to get with the modern times. It's passed him by. Well, I'll tell you what, if goddamn blowing a goat on Broadway suddenly became the goddamn in thing for everybody to do, I believe I'd pass on that too. So I'm going to stand up for what I believe in the wrestling business, which includes calling out these goddamn goofs when they do a bunch of silly shit that makes us all look like fucking morons. I don't need your money. I don't want your fucking attention. And you can't fucking stand it. They're the ones getting to be stars off me because people actually know who the fuck I am. So maybe I should back up and not spread the word about them. But since I have this platform, Brian, every once in a while, I just like to let these fuckers know what I think of them. And most of them, although they won't admit it publicly, realize that this is genuine. They will say I'm trying to say it because how can, and other people will say, how can he not see the greatness in jazz hands? Or how can he not love the fact that a legless man is fucking doing spots with a goddamn, guy painted yellow?
He's out of touch.
I'm out of touch. They can't comprehend in their little pea brains. In their little small minds, they can't comprehend that I just think this is a bunch of shit. They go, oh, he's just saying that. How can he not see the greatness in the man who makes faces? I love this line. I can't remember the name of the guy I stole it from on Twitter. The guy who had jazz hands, who makes faces like his fucking fresh butt plug just fell out. How can you not like that? Because they didn't charm me, and they didn't name moves after me, and they don't fucking pat me on the back all the time, and they don't fucking say we want to include me. Fuck, the whole goddamn thing is silly as fuck. It's like a high school drama class, except that there's more drama in between all of them than what they're fucking learning. Anyway, off of my soapbox. All I can say to you folks is the holiday season is here. It's almost Thanksgiving. Christmas is around the corner. If you want gifts for the wrestling fan in your family or even yourself, if you buy your own stuff, and hey, that way you make sure you get what you want. Cornette's Collectibles at JimCornette.com is in the holiday sale now, and please get your orders in early because business is brisk, as they say, and I am only one human being, and we're doing this, but we have been staying on top of this. I'll tell you what, as of now, everything, if you have ordered, what is this, Monday the 18th? If you have ordered from Cornette's Collectibles by Friday morning, your shit is in the mail because we're staying on top of everything. But anyway, $10 Cult of Cornette membership certificates. Now more than ever, by the way, we need to show our membership in the Cult of Cornette. No blow-up spots or no blow-up dolls, dick spots, and dance routines. $10 Cult of Cornette gift membership certificates, $9 Wrestling Gold DVDs, $15 Houston Wrestling Spectacular 4-hour DVD. The T-shirts are flying off the shelves. Books, restraining orders, so much more. JimCornette.com, Cornette's Collectibles. But let's face it, folks, especially with the NWA pay-per-view and television tapings taking place in Atlanta, December 14th through 16th, please, if you want this stuff by Christmas, get the orders in by December 10th. Give me a fighting chance, and I will do my best for you to ship the shit as swiftly as shit can be shipped across America.
Did the guy who resigned from the cult send back his certificate?
Well, you know, funny enough, I don't remember his name. I don't think he ever bought one. So he's a fake Cult of Cornette resigner. Anyway, we appreciate all of the many millions of you who have stayed in, and we do not regret the loss of John, who obviously needs to seek some of the help that he apparently gives other people when he put poor old Justin Roberts in a pine box based on those comments. But anyway, JimCornette.com, Cornette's Collectibles. Get your Christmas orders in early. And by the way, I don't want to start a national panic, but I've been informed that if you looked on JimCornette.com by this time, say this coming Friday or Saturday, I should whisper this and say it quietly, the softcover edition of Behind the Curtain may very well be on sale. I do not want to start a panic here. I've been told that the shipment may be in by the end of the week. Please do not run. Don't do it all at the same time like last time. We got a bunch of these things. They're going to be around. Get your orders in early for Christmas, yes, but don't everybody become an angry mob. But Behind the Curtain, softcover editions, autographed, the only place you'll be able to get them autographed at JimCornette.com by next weekend. I hope I have not unleashed the beast.
You have.
All right, what do we got to do on this program today?
Well, we have questions. I believe also you have stated previously that there's a chance you may have checked out some of the Wednesday night stuff to talk about today. We've heard a lot of feedback saying people really wanted your impression on a lot of the things that happened on AEW and NXT this week. So what would you like to do? Did you watch?
Yes, I did. Okay. I watched both shows.
Both?
Now, both shows, AEW and NXT. And I don't know whether we should lead with this because people will tune out. They won't want to hear this because there's so much positive. I'm afraid they won't listen. Should we go with it anyway?
We should, and we should see how much people actually hear. We should try to pay attention to see what feedback comes in for the positive. I don't even know what you're going to say here.
I did. Well, that's because we haven't talked since I watched stuff. And I didn't make notes because I was filling Cornette's collectibles orders, but I watched it the old-fashioned way, like you watch a TV show, where I put it on and I was sitting there in the room and I was doing stuff, but I was listening and watching when it attracted my attention. And basically, the All Elite show, my favorite segment of the week and possibly of the month was just getting to see MJF in the ring with Jericho. I've been saying this for some time now, and I don't know whether anybody, registers it or not, but to be put, how can I phrase this? To make a new star, they have to be comparable to, they have to be presented as competitive to, they have to be presented as equal to, on an equal footing, standing with someone that everybody knows is a star. And that's what they did there with MJF and Jericho. MJF did not look out of place. And it wasn't like the Young Bucks, put this other team over. So Kenny Olivier put this other team over, because people, whether they want to hear it or not, mainstream audience and the average American fucking citizen don't know who the fuck the Young Bucks and Kenny Olivier are. But everybody, if you're going to be watching a wrestling program, and if you have in the last 20 years, there's a lot more people who've watched wrestling in the last 20 years that are watching it now. Everybody knows who Chris Jericho is. And when you've got a guy that comes in the ring that has just as good of a look, just as good of a charisma level, is even better spoken. I mean, let's face it, MJF is on another level. He's rock level in his own style when it comes to, he's really the best promo in the business today. He's the same size as Jericho. He looks good. They went back and forth. MJF did not look intimidated. He stayed with him. It wasn't like the time where I saw several years ago where you had Steve Austin. Who was it? Oh, goddamn. It wasn't Austin and Rock. It was Austin. Fuck, it may have been, but it was either Austin and Rock and Miz, or Austin, somebody else, and Miz. And the look was, who is this little kid standing there in between these two big wrestling stars? That was not the case here. The content of their promo, where MJF could have gone the direction where he came off as a suck up and a fucking, a little stooge, like, oh, let me in the group, Chris. I can. No. They did it perfectly in my mind, where each one was being an asshole and wanted the other one to say first that he wanted to join the fucking deal. And then finally they find common ground that Cody is an asshole. And I liked the way they went back and forth. I liked the way they did it. Then here comes Cody. Once again, a great fucking angle. What's the common denominator here? Everything that Cody and Jericho are involved in is classic pro wrestling. There's a clear babyface and a heel. Everything is taken seriously. The timing, the promos, the finishes and matches, everything is attention to detail. Golly, I wonder how that just happens. And the angle, I thought at the end was great. And Jericho fucking slid out because I believe, who was the prognosticator that called the finish of this as soon as he heard that MJF was going to be out there? Anyway, the finish of the pay-per-view was exactly what we said it was going to be, because that's exactly what makes sense. And that's exactly, and now MJF has an issue, or Cody has an issue with MJF, to take him in a different direction because he can't challenge Jericho for the title anymore. So in the angle, Jericho, where'd he go? You don't know where he went. He took himself out of the picture so that all the attention could go on MJF and his new hired stooge Muscle, who looks good also. I don't know whether the guy can wrestle or not, but he looks good standing there, and that's what you need. And it's Roddy Piper with fucking Bob Orton backing him up. It's, whatever. It's the little loudmouth guy with the fucking big guy as the Muscle.
It's same Jim Cornette with Big Bubba.
It's Jim Cornette with Big Bubba. It's Al Snow with the Unabomb. So that's the way you build a star, whether it's in a match or in a promo. You present a guy who has the look and has the ability on the exact same level footing as a guy that everybody knows is a star. I mean, what did you, because you were saying something on the program, like you started to say something that you said, well, I'm going to wait and let you watch it, see what you think of it. Did you have this same thought, or did you not like the material, the way they went back and forth?
I was conflicted on it, to be honest with you. And I'm with you that everything Cody and Jericho and MJF have touched in AEW has been gold. It's been fantastic television. It's made me care about where they're going. It's made me interested in where they're going. I think there's a lot to be said to using angles as opposed to just matches to get people interested in things.
You think?
But
you think?
But, I'm focusing on old things that worked in the industry. They may not work nowadays.
Yeah, they only worked for 100 years. There's no reason to think they'd work now.
I was conflicted because overall I liked where they went with it, but I thought at times it was a little too silly. I thought it was a little too silly. I thought it was a little too much like maybe something you would see on Raw or something. And that was my only real complaint. The other thing, too, is, and I know, if he had hit the power slam, it would have been different. But if Cody's running in there to kick ass, I don't think he should be going for like a power slam or a move where,
oh, God. Oh, yeah.
That.
Well, but wait, here, let me address first thing first. As far as the silly.
Not all of it, by the way. Just
no, but when they were going back and forth, and I understand, but here's the thing that if you look at it in this respect, number one, if you got two guys that's good at doing something like that, they can get away with a little bit of gaga. But in this case, it fit who they both are. And it wasn't like it was written for them because they were doing it so naturally. It was probably written for them by them. They probably came up with it. So I don't go into the silly category when it's two guys that, I'm in a little bit of the bubbly, le champion. Chris is a little silly, but it's not silly like.
Well, that wasn't even what I was referring to.
Coming out. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not silly like coming out throwing pancakes silly or whatever the fuck.
Right.
So I wasn't offended by that element of silly rather than the phony silly. Right? I believe it from those guys.
And let me say, to expand upon what you said before, Chris Jericho in that ring, there's no one with the confidence and the comfort on the mic in front of a room full of people in that company. Even Cody. I don't think anyone could touch Jericho.
Except MJF.
Except MJF. That was the big thing that stood out. You watched that and you're like, okay, this is his first big chance, national television live. Chris Jericho, room full of people. Will he be able to be comfortable? And he seemed completely at ease. I've been saying it all along. You've been saying it even longer than me. The kid's a star. And I look forward to seeing where MJF goes over the next several years. He's one of those people, despite all the things I don't like, I'm excited enough by him and his potential to tune in to see him.
Yeah, well, basically, it's becoming the Chris Jericho show featuring Cody Rhodes and MJF and others. But that power slam thing also, there was a wire cross there, and I couldn't figure out what, because Jericho was not coming off to take a power slam. That's what happened.
Yeah. If
you go back and look at it, he was not coming off to take that spinning power slam or any other kind of power slam. He was crouching and starting to. There was some letter or some signal cross there or whatever. But regardless. Yes, I'm like, that's another thing. Even though it's a move that gets a pop, when you're doing an angle, when you're doing a fight, you want to throw the power slam in the middle of a fucking fight. I don't, but they got it eventually. But except for that, that segment was fucking price, and that's exactly what they want. And as I said, then it gets MJF and Cody off in their own direction, and Jericho slid right out at the ends because the attention was not supposed to still be on him. Because a lot of people would think, well, why wouldn't Jericho stand there to kick the shit? Because you want to leave people's impression on Cody and MJF, and they did that. Yeah. And
plus, if Cody's not going to be getting a shot at the AEW World Title for the foreseeable future, you don't want Jericho in that mix. You want him right there,
right? And that's just those little. But everybody else would have Jericho stay in there, try to kick shit out of fucking Cody until whatever happened to happen. But it's those little things. It's very Dusty-like, these finishes. Wonder why. Now, having said that, that was my favorite thing on any program from Wednesday night on All Elite Wrestling. What else was on All Elite Wrestling? I don't remember.
The Dark Order versus... Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt.
Well, that's one of the reasons I don't remember. I didn't fast forward because, as I said, I'm doing other things anyway, and I'm letting it go. But I looked up every once in a while with a contemptuous glance. They can't even defend this now as well. He wasn't actually getting offense. He was getting offense, and it went for fucking ever. And there is, again, Jungle Boy. They're not telling why are they not explaining that this is the son of a famous movie actor and television actor who loved professional wrestling and went and trained and changed his name because he wanted to make it on his own. But now he has made it. He's on national television and he is so popular with these fans. And why are they not telling the story now? And his father, it's not like he's getting over on his father's name. He's not getting over right now past his natural charisma because they're tag teaming him with a goddamn 12-year-old and putting him in with the worst tag team in fucking business on national television, and they're beating them. But Luchasaurus, I don't want him to come back too early because he's worth $1 million, and I'd rather him err on the side of safety. But if they get Luchasaurus back and put him with Jungle Boy and start telling the Jungle Boy story and get rid of that fucking offensive fucking child, fucking and phony and everything up, then that is your babyface team in All Elite Wrestling, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, for fuck's sake. They're new, they're not old and worn out. Jungle Boy has all kinds of charisma. He can do all kinds of shit. Yes, he's small, but with Luchasaurus, that cancels it out. And then it gets into the area of you're getting sympathy on Jungle Boy instead of it being a goddamn clown show. Because out of those four guys, the only one that looked like a fucking professional athlete and a kick-ass fucking wrestler was that fucking Grayson. And then if you take out kick-ass and substitute professional athlete, Jungle Boy looks great, but that's his whole, he's Ricky Morton. He's Jerry Jarrett. He's a little baby face, can sell and get sympathy. Then you've got, the whole thing is completely phony and something we shouldn't take seriously by having the kid there. And it's poisoning the whole goddamn deal. So,
having him there is one thing. I could even see the arguments to using Marco Stunt as some sort of mascot or valet or manager, but he's in the ring against the big guy and he's getting offense. They're selling for him. And like you said, it's also one thing for him to do some offensive moves, some offensive moves, but it's another thing when it goes through a commercial break, when they can't beat him in less than 10 minutes. And I think it's just so stupid. It really is stupid having him in there competing on an equal plane with full-size wrestlers.
But he's a nice guy. I'm sure he's a nice guy. So if you're a nice guy, you get to, if you're a nice guy and you love football, then you get to fucking play for the fucking Dallas Cowboys. Fuck. Anyway, was there anything else? That, to me, it was more of the same shit that they do every week with same people that they do it every week with. Oh, and Page and Pack. And again. it was a better match than the pay-per-view, but then they fucking beat Page, right? This time. So it just flopping back and forth. You win this time, I'll win next time.
Did you see the Young Bucks brawl with, I guess they're called Proud and Powerful?
Well, there you go. And of course they have to do too much, right? But they're fighting all over the building. And then, just in case anybody was actually into this as serious and a fight, they knock the door open and there's Goof waiting in the fucking bathroom, I guess, to blow somebody.
Yeah, what was he doing in there?
And the headlines this fucking coming week, Jim Cornette calls Orange Cassidy a fucking, what would I call it? What do you call a guy that hangs out?
He's a rent boy.
A rent boy. What do you call a guy that hangs out in the men's bathroom backstage in an arena just standing there waiting, I guess, for somebody to walk in so he can fucking hold his dick for him while he pisses or what? And then the door closes and he doesn't come out and he doesn't care they're having a fight, and nobody else at that point then cared they were having a fight because it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. They can't control themselves from just doing stupid bullshit that tickles them. And it sure ain't going to tickle Tony Khan's checkbook as this goes on, and people have already seen it, which they already have.
His dad's checkbook.
Well, there you go. Was there anything else on the show?
There probably was. I don't remember. There was some women's matches, I'm sure, and I don't remember everything else that was on the show.
Now, let's go to the wrestling program. People just can't stand it when I say that. The best pro wrestling television program that I've seen in a couple weeks from any company was NXT same night because of Roderick Strong and Keith Lee and the Undisputed Era.
Undisputed Era, I put this on Twitter the other day. My favorite thing in wrestling right now. They are so good. They may be my favorite faction. I can't even remember the last one I liked this much. They are so good together. Adam Cole is so good on the mic. He seems like such a natural. I love the Undisputed Era.
And, as a matter of fact, somebody even sent me an interview that Adam had done, I think it was 2 years ago. It wasn't new, so I guess he probably doesn't want to be involved now with, but he mentioned that the reason why he got signed to Ring of Honor was they had brought him to do some dark matches. This is when we were still doing the HDNet TV. And I remember Adam Pearce saying, oh, yeah, this kid and the kid that's riding up with Davey Richards, Kyle O'Reilly, I think they're really going to be good. And we've given them some, tryout matches, whatever. And I said, and he said the Cole kid can talk also. I said, well, let's have him do a promo. And I'm already looking at him, and he's 19 years old, and he looks remarkably like he did now or does now physically. I mean, he was still in shape. Good looking kid. And then I heard him talk once and I said, yes, done. We need this guy. He's a puppy with big paws. So that's why they went ahead and signed him then. And I'm not taking credit for Adam Cole's career, even though I could, but he's always had that. You can't teach that. He's always had that quality where he's just well-spoken and he comes off as sincere. What I'm amazed at is the emotion I tried. And it's not a knock on Roderick Strong, but he had a tonal quality to his voice, and he was not a natural on promos, and anything he said came off kind of and not, even if it was something he was saying that was real, it just didn't sound convincing. And they have really brought that out in him. The Undisputed Era reminds me of the Horsemen in that these are four guys that you can believe hang out together and travel together because they are very similar as personalities in some cases, and they do, and they like each other. But that's what you can't put a bunch of guys together that don't look like that they would be able to be in the same room with each other for 15 fucking minutes and expect people to buy it. But with these guys, you do. So yes, but especially that match, Keith Lee, that's the best. I mean, it's not like I've watched his entire catalog, right? But that's the best I've seen him. And even some of the things that I mentioned before, like he has good facials when he remembers to use them, but other times he's just bland. It was like Roddy was leading this, obviously. This was a tremendous performance by Roddy because not only was he incredible, but it was his match. He was leading it. He was calling it. He was doing everything that Keith Lee does that's impressive. And at the same time, the psychology was great. There's 150-pound weight difference, but they made it work. It's like one time when I watched Ernie Ladd work with Ricky Morton for 3 or 4 minutes because Ernie was a fucking genius and it made it work. It was nothing out of place. You could believe it. You could buy it. And then, but Keith Lee has so many different, unusual athletic moves that he does that highlight his size or his power. That was my favorite match of. It was even better in my mind than that Walter and who worked with Walter that we watched several weeks ago. That was so good.
Was it Tyler Bate?
Tyler Bate. This was better than Walter and Tyler Bate. In my mind, this was a perfect big man, little man match. Roderick Strong is just tremendous. Keith Lee is fucking. He's only going to get better. The angle that they did was great. This was pro wrestling. And And even when they were doing all the modern moves, everybody sold everything and it was in the right order and it made sense. And even when they had to do a stupid, commercial break where we've got to do something where we're going to be down or whatever the fuck, it worked. What did you think now that you're buried if you say anything bad about it?
No, I really like it. I've been really high on Keith Lee. I've been higher on him than you, even though it sounds like you're, the more you see of him, the more you like him. I really think he's great. I think he has so much potential. I was never a fan of Roddy Strong in Ring of Honor just because for me, he was too bland. I'm not someone who could just watch matches and enjoy matches. Like when I was younger, I could with like All Japan and stuff, but I need to have a reason to be invested in two guys wrestling. But I see him now and it's like a different guy. Now I think he's phenomenal. I think he's really great. And I love the angle and everything the Undisputed Era have done on NXT TVs in the, whatever it is, 6 or 7 weeks we've been watching, I think has been fantastic. I mean, I can't rave about them enough. I think they're really great.
Well, the thing, and with Roddy and Ring of Honor, you're right. He was bland because part of it was just the promos. It was brutal. And I tried it. Everybody tried. And sometimes the light bulb just goes on. And I don't know what they did, but kudos to him. And Roddy was always tremendous in the ring. And see, that's the thing with Ring of Honor. You know, if you could find a guy that could perform at that level in the ring, there's things that you could do, to fucking dress him up a little bit, because none of those guys had done TV before, very few of them. So everybody was in the same boat as far as that was concerned. But that's, that's why Truth Martini, as a manager to Roddy, gave him some oomph and could do the promos and could, give it a little color, dress it up. And now Roddy, even though he's come along, he's still part of this great group. Roddy was never the guy in Ring of Honor that you really wanted to be the guy, but he's a guy you could always have in the mix at the top and have a great match. And now he's gotten even better in the ring, but that personality's come out. So,
did you hear what Billy Graham said about Adam Cole?
I did not.
Billy Graham has some hot takes that he goes on social media with. And apparently one of them, I didn't read the thing, I read several comments about it, was he thinks that Adam Cole needs to get on steroids immediately. So,
because it worked so well for Billy. I mean, for a while there it did. But, here's another thing. Adam Cole I've stood next to him. So I know he's 5'10", I would assume, inch either way, probably maybe 5'11". He's pretty much looking eye to eye with me. I'm 6 feet even. Maybe he's 6 feet tall. Maybe I'm shortening him. And he's probably about 205 or 210. And as he gets older, he's probably going to pick up a little weight, but he's in great shape. But with the guys he's standing next to, he looks normal because they're about the same size. And it's not that he looks... people think I'm a size freak and, you just like, you're steroid freaks. And of course they all also think that I've taken up for everything the WWE has done. And Mae Young gave birth to a hand. Yeah, I thought that fucking sucked too, but that was 15 years ago. We stopped talking about it for a while. But no, I'm not about size. I'm about visually believable competitor. Marco Stunt cannot be visually believable anytime ever. End of story, case closed, go on. But when you've got a guy that's tall enough that will fill out a little bit more with age, but that's 200 pounds and it looks like a professional athlete, then there's nothing wrong, especially if they do it right with him working with a guy, as we just saw with Roderick Strong, who's not 6 feet tall, but he's, fucking got 2% body fat and he looks like he could go forever. He looks like, and he's strong as a fucking bull legitimately, which he showed by picking Keith Lee up a few times. If you've got a guy like that size, that can go like that, yes, you've got a professional wrestler. But no, you can't just, at some point you have to draw the line. The other match that I thought was a great performance and a complete bullshit match, and we'll talk about why in a second, was Mia Yim and Io Shirai. Did I say that correctly? Io.
Close enough, yeah. Mia
and Io, not Rio, but Io. I said last week when she came in with the kendo stick and wailed the shit out of everybody that Mia Yim brought that whole women's segment up because she came in with emotion and it looked good. It looked real. It looked like they owed her fucking trance and she was taking it out on them. That brought the people up. I like Mia's work. She has been in Ring of Honor. I've worked with her there, and she's been around for quite a while, and she's dedicated herself, and she has experience, and she works in a lot of cases like a guy, which is a compliment. And that's, as a matter of fact, the most often referred to compliment that I've ever heard the guys give the girls is you work like a guy. So that's a compliment. Having said that, and Io Shirai is painfully small, but she's obviously she's a polished performer. She's a little small, but it's not like over on the other channel where you got the Japanese schoolgirls and it looks like independent girls wrestling. Shirai is trained, and you could tell that's the reason why NXT. The guys there have the advantage over most guys is because they get paid to do nothing but work and train. And they're very highly trained and their shit looks good, but it's still Io Shirai is very small. But if you're going to have a small Japanese girl, she's the best one I've seen. Having said that, what the fuck with the ladder match? They gimmicked a gimmick. The stipulation on this was the winner of this ladder match gets the team advantage in the War Games match on the pay-per-view, right? So that they have gimmicked up a gimmick for ratings or just crash TV mentality or whatever. They put these girls in this fucking ladder match. It's the same principle as everything else that everybody is doing. A ladder match used to be the blow-off. The War Games used to be the blow-off. Everything. Now they're putting people in a blow-off match to determine who gets the team advantage when they go into the next blow-off match in 2 fucking weeks. And everybody's just ladder matches for this. Oh, let's just have a ladder match. People like ladder matches on every card, major and minor, outlaw and fucking legitimate federation. They just add ladder matches. They were like everything else. When they were fine when you saw it once every couple of years. It was I'm sure Bret Hart is now cussing himself that he fucking brought this thing to them. The ladder match in Calgary was the blow-off match when you finally, that was the last resort and they didn't fucking beat it up. And when Shawn Michaels as Flair said at that time, when Shawn Michaels had a match with a ladder in the Garden, WrestleMania 10, that was a blow-away fucking match because it was the first time people had seen it on a mainstream basis. And they didn't get stupid with the shit they did with the ladder. And you've got Michaels, who's, in ring, the performer at the time.
And also it made sense with where they were going because remember, you had dueling intercontinental champions.
Exactly. So we'll go up and the real guy gets the belt, right? But then they had to start doing, it's the same thing. They had to start doing tag team ladder matches and then 3-way ladder matches and then 3-way team ladder matches. And then poor Joey Matthews got his face bashed in. And I'm sure that probably led to Edge's early retirement, all that shit that they were doing 15 years ago. And now it's gotten to the point where now here's the women's ladder match. To determine who gets a fucking advantage in a goddamn even more dangerous stipulation match. And Mia Yim gets her fucking face smashed in. And it's bullshit. Those ladders will not work with you. If you go back and think, there are more mishaps and injuries, major and minor, in ladder matches than any other, even the tables bullshit, right? Can you think of anything that they work with on a regular basis that's more dangerous than the ladders?
No.
So, but they got to keep fucking doing it. It's like, and like we talked about on a show here not long ago, when they started coming out with the action figures in the 90s, and every wrestling figure had to have a plunger or a toilet seat or a fucking chair or a goddamn hammer or a fucking kendo stick or a ladder. Because people, how can you have wrestling without ladders and fucking toilet plungers? What the? So anyway, I'm pissed because I like Mia, and I'm pissed that they put her in a position for no reason, they could have had easily just a match, and they probably would have had a better match than doing the ladder. And you can have safe ladder matches, but nobody tries to, because the boys always want to outdo, we got to give the people their money's worth. Jerry Lawler had a ladder match with, who was it? The Miz? Like 10 years ago on Raw?
I think so, yeah. Or Dolph Ziggler, one or the other. I forget.
I think it was Miz, because it would have been better with Dolph. But I watched it purely because Jerry Lawler was wrestling. During those periods of time, I would watch Raw specifically, see Lawler work, because I would see something that I wasn't seeing everywhere else, which is goddamn shit that made a lot of sense. And this was the best ladder match. It was the safest ladder match I ever saw. And it was also, besides Michaels and Razor, the best one, because he made people believe he was going to win the WWE title. They didn't do anything stupid, still used the ladder, but because it was Lawler, he could outthink everybody else, and he put together a fucking match where the people were convinced he's going to win the title. It's going to be part of the story at his age, last chance, blah, 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 and he's going to do it. He didn't. They should have put it on him, but they didn't, because it's fucking Miz, so who gives a shit, right? But still, you can have a safe ladder match, but the boys won't. You can build the psychology and use the match rules about climbing the ladder to attain the goal without fucking killing yourself. And then after she fucking got her face smashed in, her nose broke, her eye was cut bad, then they still went ahead and did the goddamn deal where she's on the ladder and the other girl comes in and pushes her over, and she takes a bump completely over the top rope onto the ladder that was bridging the ring and the barricade around the ring, and that broke straight in half and slipped off the goddamn. So it didn't even break the fall like it was supposed to, designed to do, because it slipped off the apron, if you notice. When you go back and look.
That was brutal.
And the end hit the ground, and that's when it broke, so it didn't break any of the fall. They should have bonused fucking Mia for putting her in that position. If somebody asked her to take that bump, they ought to get fired. And if she asked to take it, whoever said, "Oh, I think that's probably okay for you to do that," ought to get fired. But anyway, I was upset. They did their best, and they had a good match, except for Mia almost getting killed. But they shouldn't have been put in that position. That's too much. It's ridiculous. If you're gonna put talent, male or female, but especially female, and this is not being sexist when I'm saying, simply put, they can't move that ladder around like the guys that are 80 or 100 pounds heavier can. And I don't think anybody will fucking argue with that point. And when you can't control that thing, it's hard to fucking not get hurt. So I don't think they should have put them in that fucking position. But anyway, what else was on that show? Because really that stood out to me so much, the two matches and the Undisputed Era in general, and doing the angle with Riddle and Keith Lee and fucking Tommaso. I mean, they had some other stuff, and I was doing things.
Yeah, I kind of tuned out a lot of the other stuff too. Again, just like AEW, I think NXT has too many matches that aren't matches with main guys that go too long and go through commercial breaks. There was, I think, a Swerve Scott match, but I forget, what that match.
Yeah.
I just didn't care enough. I don't remember really.
Well, there you go.
We're only a few days out, but I don't remember anything else that was on the show.
But anyway, the big takeaway is, if I'm pissed that Mia got hurt, because I like her, she's a nice girl. But you know what? If she decides that, fuck this, I shouldn't have been put in this position. I shouldn't have had to go out there and I'm a wrestler. I'm not a goddamn construction worker. I shouldn't have to be climbing ladders. If she wants to sue, I bet you I know who she could call.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. He'll sue the rest.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you need to bring the hammer of justice down on some interloper, someone who has trespassed on the Ponderosa, someone who has violated your rights or your property or your privileges or your family or whatever the case may be, the man who will take your case, ladies and gentlemen, is Stephen P. New of newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084. The consigliere of the cult of Cornette is available to you, my friends, my cult members, to rectify any problem that you might have by getting the person who has caused that problem up the rectum. Ladies and gentlemen, he will rectify anything that he needs to rectify to get you paid. And as I've said before, if he can't get your ass paid, I'll say this in a minute, your ass doesn't accept cash. No, Stephen has taken so many cases for the cult members over the last, what has it been now, year and a half that he's been part of the program. And even if he can't take your case, he may know someone who can, or he will refer you to the right place, or he'll give you the straight scoop about your problem, no matter what it might be, whether it be big pharmaceutical companies, big corporations in general, people who have downtrodden the little guy. Stephen P. New is your champion of justice and the man in your corner. Even if they're just fat fucks out there slandering you, why, he can fucking take care of things. Stephen P. New is a man. You want Stephen on your side.
You certainly do. And I can tell you from talking to Steve, one of the things he really loves is how many of the members of the cult of Cornette are in the military and have called him for help. And he loves doing things to help out members of the armed forces and members of the military, past and present.
Yeah, and in all seriousness, there was that case not long ago where they gave, the servicemen defective, even not earphones, but some type of ear guard for the loud noises and the gunfire or whatever, and it was fucking defective, and people's hearing was damaged. And he's been able to help a number of people in that respect. So whatever the case may be, no pun intended, whatever your case may be, Stephen will give you straight scoop, good information, and he will defend your rights to the best of the ability that he has by the legal system that we have currently in place. Because as Roger Stone has found out lately, even if you're the fucking best friend of the president, you can still go to jail, motherfucker. Anyway, I bet Stephen, he's the kind of guy, he would have liked to have been there and personally sent criminals like this to prison. But he will bring to justice anybody that's screwed with a member of the cult of Cornette, by God. 888-692-8084, newlawoffice.com. And he's got a heck of a pair of jazz hands.
As we've seen on national television.
As we've seen on national television. And also, I guess I shouldn't even plug his new T-shirts. He gives away T-shirts to the loyal fans, but if I say that now, I think I've just cost him 10,000 T-shirts. So
his poor assistant, I don't know, because he just sends them out. He doesn't charge anyone. He just says, if anyone wants one, get in touch. His poor assistant is going to have to sit there and package up hundreds of T-shirts. Oh, we may have to come up with a different plan for next time.
Anyway, all righty. But yeah, Mia Yim, I bet Stephen P. New would represent you free of charge, and we do hope that Mia's okay. Oh, and by the way, we're going to address this on the experience this coming week, because there's too many controversies in the same week. Don't want to load down one show. But some knucklehead on Twitter, once again, wrote that he believed that the women's wrestling championship in whatever company should be basically promoted as, no matter who the champion is of either case, should be promoted on the same level as the men's title, that there should be an equal number of men's and women's matches, and that there should be an equal number of everything. And I said, this is fucking insanity. And it's not being sexist, it's just being good at math. But we're going to talk about the women's wrestling controversy. No, I do not believe that women's wrestling should be abolished, and I do believe there are excellent women's wrestlers. We will talk about some of them. But I do not believe, and we will go into more detail, that there's enough in the world, or ever will be, that we should have 50-50 numbers of matches and competitors on everybody's roster. So we'll talk more about women's wrestling this week on The Experience.
Well, Jim, we have a ton of questions that have been sent in, and I swear we're actually going to get to some of them in a moment. But I
forgot we do that here.
Just want to make a quick mention here to the listeners of this show and the Jim Cornette Experience. Some of you, not all of you, but some of you are going to be hearing some advertising on the show, sometimes before the show, sometimes after the show, sometimes in the middle of segments. We just want to alert you that this is something we know about, we're aware of, and we're going to
All right, I've been seeing this on Twitter because did you know about this? Obviously, the program has gotten more popular. More people are wanting to jump on and sponsor by advertising. We did get a list of and approved. In other words, you're not going to be hearing any, you better not be hearing any fucking Republican political ads or ads for unsavory or questionable products or whatever. But explain this to me again. Explain this to me again, Lucy. Some people hear them, some people don't. Some people might hear a spot for Al's ratchets, and other people might hear a spot for waffles and tire irons. How does this work?
Well, for the record, I think we turned down Owl's ratchets, but the way it works is these are programmatic ads, and it is dependent on the actual listener or whatever they determine the actual listener is. So some people may hear ads for, let's just say, male grooming products, and other people may hear ads for investment houses.
Okay, that's as clear as fucking mud. But anyway, but we know the ads are, and we're trying not to place them because we can't fully control what's going on. We're trying to place them in appropriate points rather than breaking up a conversation. Is that
that's wrong. Actually, we can control where they go, and we are gonna make sure they are never in the middle of a conversation. It will be in between segments.
Okay.
It will never be in the middle of a discussion, in the middle of a word, in the middle of a sentence. I've heard numerous complaints about other shows doing that. We will never do that. It will always be in between actual segments.
But then somebody tweeted, well, it just popped up, but it wasn't just like all of a sudden, like right there in the middle of my sentence, an ad just pops up where we're controlling so it doesn't break up the flow of the conversation.
Correct.
And basically what we're talking about here is another byproduct, an unfortunate byproduct of being so successful as everybody wants to advertise on the program. So we got to get this stuff in as best as possible. That's what we're saying.
That's what we're saying.
But we're not going to foist off any fucking substandard products on you, and we're not going to break up the flow of the conversation. And if it does happen, let us know, and we'll try to fix it, because we didn't mean for it to be that way.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Let's now get to some questions. And actually, Jim,
Mama says it bees that way sometimes.
Well, we got some questions here, Jim. I'm going to start with an off-topic question. And this one was sent in by...
How should it be off-topic when we haven't even got a topic yet?
Well, this one was sent in by John Fell in Baltimore.
Oh, God. Well, I guess that will be off-topic. John comes out of left field with shit.
Knowing your love of comic books, I was wondering how much you know about superhero and supervillain secret identities. I'd like to give you 10 comic book characters, and you have to give their alter egos.
Oh, boy.
All of these are Marvel characters, and from your era you collected in.
All right, so they're going to give me the secret identity I got to give, or he is. Give me the secret identity, I'm going to give him the hero, or vice versa?
Vice versa.
He gave me the hero, I give a secret identity. I'll give this a swing.
Thor.
Dr. Don Blake.
The original Ant-Man.
Henry Pym.
Very good. Beast from the X-Men.
God damn it. Fuck was his fucking name?
Hank McCoy.
Hey, I knew it because I was going to say Henry again, and then I was fucked up by the Henry Pym thing. But yes, Hank, yes.
Cyclops from the X-Men.
Oh, fuck. His name was...
Boy, someone didn't like the X-Men.
No, you know what? Here's the thing. I did like the X-Men. I just, they all, it's like in wrestling. I call people by their gimmick names. Don't call them by their real names. That's a bad habit to get into. What was his fucking name?
Scott Summers.
Scott Summers. That's right.
The Hulk. And you have to give his full name, it says here.
Well, okay, in the comic books, he was Bruce Banner. In the television program, he was David Banner, Bill Bixby, but he obviously was a doctor. So is that where are we going for Dr. Bruce Banner or Dr. David Banner or the full what other full name would there be?
It says Robert Bruce Banner.
Okay, well, I guess his mother loved him, but I didn't pay that much attention.
The Puppet Master.
Oh, fuck, no idea.
Philip Masters.
Yeah.
Dr. Octopus.
Dr. Octopus was, oh, fuck. It was a long, strange name.
Octavius.
Octavius. Otto Octavius. Yes, Otto Octavius.
Silver Surfer.
Oh man, what was his fucking name? It was like just a one-word name, like Namor, the Submariner.
No, it isn't.
It isn't? Okay, what was it?
Norrin Rad.
Okay, well, I didn't remember that.
The Abomination.
Vincent James Russo.
No, Emil Blonsky.
Okay.
And finally, the Wasp.
Oh, what was her name? I don't know.
Janet Van Dyne.
Yes, he is correct.
Who was your favorite? What is your favorite comic book from that era?
I was always a Fantastic Four guy because at the time, when I started collecting the late 60s through the 70s, Fantastic Four was the book and the group. They were like the main event fucking group. And Spider-Man didn't take over, both in terms of popularity and value of the books, until like the 80s. But Fantastic Four #1 was, instead of Amazing Fantasy 15, was always the sought-after book in those days. And I loved The Thing, Ben Grimm, it's clobbering time. But also that's one of the first Marvel books that I saw were Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and the Avengers. So and of course the Avengers at that time was Hulk, Thor, Ant-Man, but who became Giant Man.
That's right. Was Captain America?
Captain America started in Avengers #4. And the Hulk was an early member of the Avengers, and the Hulk was my favorite character. I just loved the whole gamma radiation, the whole fight. He was a great, even before I'd started watching wrestling, he would have been the perfect fucking wrestler. Him and the Thing would have been and then the Thing versus the Hulk fucking fights. A shit's on, brother, as Gary Hart would say. So yeah, I was, into the main fucking backbone of the Marvel universe at that time.
Was it a big deal to you as a kid when they brought Captain America back? Because he had been dormant since World War II or shortly after World War II.
Well, yeah. And see, the thing there is it's the same as I obviously didn't know in 1968 that Captain America had been a comic character or a book in the 40s, right? When they brought him back, I'm seeing him for the first time as they've melted him out of the block of ice or whatever, but they told the backstory in the books. So I learned it the same way as I learned that even though I never saw the Fabulous Fargos and I wasn't alive in 1959, I know that they sold out Madison Square Garden because the announcers would tell me. So they would give backstories in the books then. So it was easier to understand both wrestling and comics.
Our next question, Jim, was sent in to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from Daniel Lindy in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Revival have been expressing on social media that they do not like working for the WWE. They were in a pseudo faction with Randy Orton, and they gelled so well that WWE decided to break it up before it got going. Looking at the options they have, it seems they can go to AEW. We have seen the issues with the tag team division in the promotion, which I believe we can lay blame on the bookers, the Young Bucks. I'm wondering what your thoughts are, I guess he meant to put here, I wonder what your thoughts are of the interaction between the Revival's dogmatic approach to tag team wrestling versus the anarchism of the current AEW product. Could the Revival...
Dogmatic?
Could the Revival restore some order, or will they get frustrated with AEW?
Well, they ain't there yet, and they're still under contract to the other place, and I would assume that when they first heard about this, obviously the Revival has not been happy because they are such they're such a great tag team that they're on a level above most everybody else, but they have not been presented as that because tag teams are not presented as that in general in the WWE, and especially, not unless they're, the Revival has no clown show to them. So, of course, I'm sure the writers are like, oh, what the fuck do we do with these guys? They can just wrestle and talk like they're bad. So, of course, they're not happy with where they've been. And I'm sure, like a lot of people, when they heard there was going to be a new company and they figure, okay, one of the tag teams, the Young Bucks, is in management. So they're probably going to feature tag teams. I'm sure that engendered a lot of optimism and excitement. And, but now I would have to think not only the Revival, but everybody else has to take a step back and go, wait a minute. Now that we're actually seeing this shit in practice, if we're not happy here where we're being made to do stupid things or get beat all the time or silly or whatever, if we go there, are we going to have to fucking work competitively with a 5 foot tall, 100-pound fucking kid? Or are we going to have these fucking video game style matches where they don't tag? The whole great thing about the Revival is they've made the rules of tag team wrestling an art that they do them so well, the blind tags and the false tags and the way that they use tag team wrestling, which now in this, we've established that it's just fucking all four guys can do whatever the fuck they want. Half the time they're working lucha rules. Half the time there's no semblance of a tag team match. And then also with the state of the tag teams they've got, are they going to have a fucking lucha match with the Lucha Brothers? Are they going to have to work competitively with a 5 foot tall, 100-pound child? Are they going to have to fucking try to do all this flippy shit? Or are the one great match that they could have right now is with SCU? Because all three of those guys, whichever combination it was, can fucking work their ass off. So the Revival versus any two members of SCU would probably be the best tag team match that we would see, whatever that particular month might be. But they can't work with SCU all the time. Can they get a good match out of the Young Bucks?
I mean, that's the big money one. I mean, that's out of every possible opponent the Young Bucks could have, that's the one that I think more people would be interested in than anything else. And there you get the dilemma where...
Do you think that the Young Bucks would shut up and say, okay, you're the heels. You're also the best tag team in the business right now as far as teamwork and using tag team rules. So call this fucking match and let's have a classic. Or do you think they'd want to do all their goofy shit and do the matches like that they do? And then the Revival would get lost because it doesn't make sense and it'd fall apart.
I think that's going to be the interesting thing because, as you pointed out, one of the great strengths about the Revival is I think they have a brilliant match layout. I think the matches are they're laid out so perfectly. They're so well thought out. And how do you take
the timing and the flow and the ups and downs and the peaks and valleys?
They're the best tag team in a generation. How do you take that and apply it? Let's take any personal feelings about the Young Bucks out. Let's just look at their work and evaluate them for their work. How do you apply that to the Young Bucks? We saw a little bit of the Young Bucks, for them, a little bit more old school wrestling than we were used to on that pay-per-view where they're selling the injury, but, again, they do the super kicks and everything, but they're selling their injury. Can the Young Bucks take their best stuff and apply it to that type of match, or will the Revival have to work a different kind of match than what made them so special? It's going to be an interesting thing.
Well, Ed, we say it's going to be like it ain't ready to happen yet. But if it did, remember the match the Young Bucks had with Dustin and Cody, where I said, unfortunately, it went 30 minutes, and that was an outdoor show in oppressive humidity and heat. But the first 10 or 12 minutes was a great tag team wrestling match because it was they got heat on one guy, they made a hot tag to come back, the whole 9 yards. Then of course they had to fucking go and do the same thing over again the opposite direction with heat on one of the Roses and come back, and then they had to do 10 minutes of just chaos at the end. But if the Revival worked with the Young Bucks, it would be a huge money program. If the Young Bucks let the Revival call the fucking match and did all of their shit in the context of the Revival telling them what to do, then they could tear the house down. It would be a fantastic match. If the Bucks do their normal shit, it'd just be a normal Bucks match, which wouldn't make any fucking sense.
It will be interesting to see with the AEW roster as it's currently put together. What happens as these contracts come up? What happens as guys do leave the WWE and potentially go there? Does it change the way they do a show? If all of a sudden they have guys in that locker room who have been working a different style, do they have to adapt? Will things change? I mean, it's going to be a real interesting year and a half as contracts come up. We're assured that some guys are going to jump.
Yeah.
What happens when they jump?
I think if they pick up guys that have a level of professionalism and some experience, it can benefit everybody because they will slow those fuckers down and teach them something and get them to make shit mean things and potentially put together more logical matches. It will also lessen the need to employ all these fucking indie level guys but the question is lessening the need just because you don't need a fucking goof that pours baby oil all over him, or a fucking jelly Nutella that, is just what he is. Does that mean that because they're personal friends and school friends, that they will take the more professional talent over those school friends? We don't know. I don't know. But yeah, anytime they can get some more experience in there, and I'm not even talking about old veterans, I'm talking about just guys that have been in the WWE where they're just a level of professionalism is expected and don't do crazy, stupid, dangerous shit and sell and register and react to some things and have pacing to the match instead of just flying every fucking where. It'll be interesting. Obviously, the more experienced talent that they get, the better off they're going to be, both in the ring and at working television and doing things like that. But, it'll be, here's the thing, I was all ready to be a big fan of Jon Moxley's. Because, okay, I understand the idea that, somebody's been handicapped or hamstrung or handcuffed in WWE and can't be their true selves. Yes, everybody says that. But while he can talk and while he can work and while he's been in the ring with a lot of high-level talent and knows timing and television and et cetera, the thing I'm worried about now is if that lights out match is any example of the kind of wrestling that he always wanted to do. Number one, no wonder they wouldn't let him fucking do it at a real professional company. But secondly, I'm off of Moxley now because I can't believe that Kenny Olivier sat down and fucking forced him, twisted his arm to do that shit. So he has to believe that that's shit that should be done in wrestling, which puts me off of being a fan of Jon Moxley.
Did you see his promo Did you see his promo on Wednesday?
I heard him talking, but I was kind of already, because of the match, I just already wasn't interested in what he had to say. What did he say?
That's a good question. I think
Yeah.
he said, basically, he's challenging whoever has the guts to come fight him, and later on, Darby Allin accepted it.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, that's good, because they can, it's like the old when Dusty was booking, Paul Jones's Army against Jimmy Valiant, keep it all in the same fucking match. But no, if that's the kind of wrestling that Jon Moxley was hamstrung from doing and wanted to do and wasn't allowed to do in the WWE, then apparently they were right, and I'm off of Jon Moxley now. And he's a name from television and people recognize, he's a guy from television. Nobody recognized the name. That's another thing. These fucking guys let their names be taken away from them and their names be changed and given new names and sign their names away. And I can't even keep up with, and this is obviously the design of the whole thing for these companies to keep guys' names when I don't even know who a guy that I liked in another life under another name in another company, I don't even know who they are now half the time. If I see them listed on a fucking card or a result, I don't know who that name is. I would know him by the name I knew him as. So Moxley's not even a name. The name was Dean Ambrose, but people will recognize him from WWE. So he's got recognition factor, but instead of being smart like Jericho is, and he's coming down to their level instead of bringing them up to his.
Our next question, Jim, sent in the CornyDriveThru at gmail.com. This is a question seeking advice. Hello, Mr.
I thought
Cornette.
it was a question seeking an answer.
First off, I'd like to ask if you could refrain from using my name. since this is a question about the wrestling school I attend.
Okay, what is his name?
I cannot say that.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't say it accidentally.
I've been a fan of yours for years now, and because of that, I take your philosophy of no outlaw mud shows and dick spots seriously. I've begun training at my local wrestling school for a couple weeks now, and some of the more experienced students and trainers suggest ridiculous gimmicks for me that I consider goofy comedy routines. What should I do? Should I play along and give some of that stuff a try because I'm just a student and quote, what the fuck do I know? Or should I take my teachers aside and make it clear that I don't want to start off my training doing dumb outlaw mud show gimmicks?
See, in a vacuum, I don't want to get heat on this kid. It could be that they're just suggesting a bunch of goofy shit because I've never seen this guy, heard of him, or whatever. It could be just because he's the shits. And they're just like, oh, you got to do this or whatever, because I don't know. Or it could be that they really, because it's my local wrestling school, right? And I would think that he would name, if there was any significant names involved, I think he would name, I'm training with so-and-so. So it's a bunch of local guys, and maybe they just are clown show fucking wrestling fans. If he's paying to be there, then while, yes, he is paying to go to school, I think I would sit down and say, guys, I have, and also when somebody pitches something for you to do, if you're going to turn it down, you need to have something better. You can't just say no. I've actually, guys in the WWE have done that. And somebody, who was it in Ring of Honor, did that one time. Oh, fuck, I wish I could fucking remember now. But basically, no, I don't like that. Well, what do you want to do instead? Well, I don't know, but something different. You motherfucker. If you're going to turn something down in wrestling, you need to have something on the spot that's better than the shitty idea you just turned down. Because if you don't, then you look like an idiot. Then you're just saying, well, I don't want to do that. Well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know, but I don't want to do that. So I would sit down and say, guys, I'd like to be serious. I have an idea for this, and pitch your idea for what you want to do that you feel would be you, that would bring out more of you that you would be comfortable with, because when you're comfortable, then you speak and register it and display it and emote it for people, both physically and verbally, better if you're comfortable with it and it feels like you, and pitch it to them. Remember, you're in fucking wrestling school, and depending on the level of your trainers, it's not like going to be the end of the world if they say, no, this fucking sucks, because really, when you think about it, what else? They're taking your money. Now, I've run a wrestling school, but I had confidence in when I did give a guy a gimmick, I had confidence that I knew a little bit more about what I was talking about than he did, and chances are I was right. But at the same time, I didn't give everybody, or even most of the guys in wrestling school, a gimmick, because they're in wrestling school. They need to learn how to be themselves first. So start out with a fucking name, a weight, and a hometown, and whether you're a babyface or a heel. And then as you get more experience, and as you work in front of people more, and as you work in front of your trainers or in front of the people in the locker room more, somebody will have an idea. Somebody will make a fucking suggestion. Somebody else will say something else. You will come up with something, whether you're taking a shit or you're riding in the car. And eventually, over a period of time, you will form what becomes your gimmick. It's not like, okay, you've been training for 3 weeks now, so I think you need to be a cowboy, and you ought to wear a cowboy hat that's this color, and we're going to go buy you a fucking pair of cowboy boots and all this, and just fully form it there, because fucking guy doesn't even know how to wrestle yet, much less work a gimmick. Nobody should really start out from day one with a gimmick, because how do you know? It's like the writers do. They just make up a fucking wrestling character, and then they go try to find somebody to say, okay, play this character. Well, that's the fucking shits.
But when you look at how wrestling schools are today, there are guys out there like Dr. Tom Pritchard, Les Thatcher, guys who know their stuff, can teach you really what you need to know to make it in wrestling. But if you have a generation of students who, and the younger they get, and each year goes by, it's going to become more and more, I would think, grew up watching silly shit and thinking silly shit is acceptable. How do you break that? Especially when you're not going to Dr. Tom Pritchard. You're not going to a Les Thatcher. You're going to someone who may be of that generation, and now they're the teacher.
Well, you can't really do much about it except what I do, which is sit back and tell everybody how fucked up they are. What else? They won't listen. They don't get it if you do listen. They've never experienced it. They didn't live in that era, so that they don't understand. To begin with, that's part of the reason why a lot of guys' minds are fucked up when they get in the business now compared to days gone by, because they already think they're smart when they get in the business. They've already read everything on the internet. They already think they know how wrestling works and think they know how matches work. And as Rip Rogers used to say, as seen on TV, they do shit that they've seen people do on TV because they figure, well, those people have jobs and I don't. So whether it's right or wrong, they don't know. And it's just, it's hard. It's, and the more that the veterans who either, for whatever reason, either still need the money or just, I don't know what the fucking reasoning is, but the more that they validate some of this horseshit behavior, the more that everybody thinks it's okay. So I don't know really what you do about it, except that's why I'm been so fucking down on wrestling. And then, of course, I get around either guys that, I like, or I've watched guys like, MJF or whatever the fuck. Or all right, here's another thing. Well, I'll finish that statement. I watch those guys and I get back interested and I want to help, but then I just watch not only overall the business as a whole and the people in it, but also the people that have now become fans of what they claim is wrestling, that just, they're only there because it's a fucking hoot for now. But here's another thing, and I'm not wishing ill on MLW when I say this, but MLW just announced that they re-signed Jacob Fatu to a long-term contract. If I'm a billionaire, and I've got a national televised wrestling program, and I hear that Jacob Fatu is about to be, his contract is up, I'm pretty sure that a billionaire, and I'm not knocking Court Bauer, but I'm pretty sure a billionaire could have outbid Court Bauer. But he didn't. Because Jacob Fatu didn't go to goddamn school with the Young Bucks. Or fucking didn't, tag team in intergender matches with children in fucking Japan with Kenny Olivier. Look at 10 people that they have signed in All Elite Wrestling and look at Jacob Fatu and explain to me how the fuck they can come up with enough money for that man. It's insane.
Let me ask you this, because a lot of people are pontificating lately. The Ring of Honor contracts that are coming up soon, Jeff Cobb, Marty Scurll, various guys. Do you think it's just going to be a mass exodus to AEW? Do you see any benefit to staying with Ring of Honor?
Well, depending on the deals, I mean, if you're a young wrestler and you want to make a lot of money for the next year or two, AEW might be a great destination, but I wouldn't burn a lot of fucking bridges for this. This has still got a ways to play out. I've seen Marty Scurll, and I called his match with Nick Aldis, and I think he's a very good talent. Whether he would do better in All Elite than Ring of Honor, I have no idea, because, once again, he's a great fucking wrestling talent. I didn't see him, super kicking children or whatever. I don't know. It can't be. If there's anything of a mass exodus, then that's idiotic on All Elite Wrestling side, because all of a sudden you're going to sign 6 new people and try to get them all over when you still ain't got the fucking guys you've got on TV over to begin with. You never want just 10 guys to come in a clump. Who knows? I would go shopping for individuals rather than trying to just go out and buy in bulk at Costco.
Our next question, Jim, sent in via email to CornyDriveThru@gmail.com from Gabriel Cabrera. Dear Jim, Surely you've heard about the WWE 2K hack. Hackers.
Well, number one, no, I haven't. And number two, please do not call me Shirley.
Hackers hijacked the WWE 2K Facebook page and had their way
Okay,
with the
wait,
page.
back up. I know WWE 2K is a video game, right?
Correct.
The video game has its own page on Facebook?
I was unaware of this until this controversy, but seemingly they do.
Okay, and so now what happened?
Hackers hijacked the WWE 2K Facebook page and had their way with the page for a couple of hours.
Had their way. It was treated like a Jezebel.
I enclosed all the screenshots. I would hope to hear your reaction to the situation. Would you like me to?
Well, how am I going to see this? You've got the screenshots.
I could relay some of them to you. The first thing was they put up a banner, Chris Benoit, WWE Hall of Fame. The next thing.
Well, yeah, just describe. I mean, is there anything I have to see here?
Not really. It's just,
Okay. Just tell me what they did.
Yo, let's get 10,000 likes and I'll release Randy Orton gangbanging a whore with Triple H.
What the fuck? Oh, God.
So, I mean, there's an example of one. No matter how WWE tries, you guys can just give up because All Elite Wrestling runs this shit now, along with myself, a.k.a. New Blom.
New what? New bomb?
New Blom. Nublom.
Okay. Does that even say, is that like spelled backwards or something? Or is that a...
No, but the letters that aren't vowels are capitalized and the vowels are in lowercase. Job got done on these WWE clowns. All Elite Wrestling runs shit. There's a word that I'm not going to say on the air. If they keep removing...
Wait, there's a word that you can't say on this show?
There's a word I can't say on any show or in society, and I wouldn't either. If they keep removing, I'm going to RKO John Cena and spit on CM Punk, the crackhead. It's just one after another.
So, I mean, I don't know how this hacking type of thing works, but basically some fucking guy in the basement, like on South Park, got into the goddamn site and put up a bunch of unflattering shit.
That seems to be the case.
Well, what am I going to do about it?
What are your thoughts? I guess so.
Well, my thoughts are, I guess you shouldn't fucking do it. I mean, I don't, it's not my week to watch them, so I didn't have any responsibility on it. But that's a terrible thing. I mean, in all seriousness, why fuck with somebody's Facebook page or whatever? That's like some jackass shit. Not even good fucking, satire or whatever. But, I would assume everybody knew that it was not something that the WWE was writing, so it didn't cause them any trouble otherwise than embarrassment, maybe. But I don't care.
Well, let's get one more question in before we do our theme song contest for this week. This was sent in to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from David Fulton in Sherman Oaks, California, a.k.a. the Hollywood territory. Your mother sounds like she was just about the coolest mom a young wrestling fan could possibly hope for. But I am curious. On episode 108 of the Drive Thru, you described your typical Tuesday night shift as a ring photographer. You mentioned that you'd work all night and continue through into Wednesday. It sounds exhausting, and you were just 14. Did you ditch high school? Were you homeschooled? How did Mama Cornette feel about all this heavy lifting you had to do as a youthful entrepreneur? And how did you keep the truant officers at bay? Thank you for all you do.
Well, he's conflating a story I told about the schedule that I had as a photographer he's conflating that with when I very first started out taking pictures in the Louisville Gardens. There was a period of time that elapsed. I didn't just instantly at 14 start going to 3 or 4 shows a week and selling 2,000 pictures and staying up all night searching negatives and etc. It was a process, but I will admit that I appeared at school often enough so they kind of were able to figure me out by sight, but I didn't fucking hang around any longer than I had to. No, at first it was just a little part-time Tuesday night thing, and then later on as I matured and became a grown adult, so it didn't interfere. And also when you're younger, you can stay up a lot without fucking sleep, because that's what I used to do when things really kicked in. And by this time, this was the late 70s, so I was out of school. But I would go to the matches on Tuesday at the Louisville Gardens, shoot the pictures, then come back home and spend all night staying up searching the negatives and filling out the orders for people that wanted pictures, the wrestlers, Miss Jarrett, et cetera, to be taken into the processing place on Wednesday. Then we'd leave and we'd go to the matches in Evansville, Indiana on Wednesday night. I'd shoot pictures there, sometimes do the fill-in ring announcing. My mom ran the gimmick table. Then on Thursday, it was either a spot show in southern Indiana or somewhere around the area in Kentucky, or once a month was Lexington. I'd do the same thing there. Then fucking, there weren't usually Friday shows up at this end, but there were sometimes shows on Saturday nights. So I'd usually hit a Saturday night too. And then I would have Sunday and Monday to recover before starting the whole thing over again in Louisville on Tuesday. But that was later on. So I kind of grew into it. But I was not a fan of higher education just because it was getting in my way of doing what I wanted to do. And to be honest with you, without sounding like Brian Last and unhumble, school was not a challenge for me, except math. Otherwise, in math, school was not ever really a challenge.
I'm actually you're pretty good with math, and you always do different figures and stuff. I'm surprised that math was a struggle for you.
Well, no, but here's the thing. I taught myself math based on timing wrestling television programs and counting picture money. And I can still time a television program in my head down to 15 seconds because I used fractions on paper. It was easier. A quarter, a half, 3/4, or 1 equals 15 seconds, 30, 45, etc. I can do a lot of that in my head, but I didn't get the whole goddamn other higher mathematical thing. But anything you could read and study and learn yourself, I was already to that point by the time that came up in school, especially with anything related to English, spelling, writing, history, things like that. And also it's been like everything else all my life. If I'm interested in something, I not only get it, but I can pick it up quick and I read tons about it. If I'm not interested in something, I can't retain that information, even if you drum it in my fucking head, because I don't give a shit.
All right. Well, before we get to the theme song contest, I'm going to try this. This is an email that was sent in from someone named Sean. It says, this is all the swearing and insults from episode 302. Let's just try this for a second and see.
Okay.
It's 9 minutes, so we can't play the whole thing. But
what?
I'm curious how he put this together. 9 minutes was all the swearing and insults from episode 302. Let's try this.
Fucking, I also will shit on some things. Take your energy and stick it up your ass. How's your car running? Oh, it's running good now. Why don't you run it up your ass? Are your brakes working on your car? Yeah, well then break them off and shove them up your ass. Goddamn cell phones, for fuck's sake. It's fucking raining. Fucking stonemason's out. It's October, whatever the fuck this is. I got a lot of problems with you people. It's fucking, for fuck's sake, on my fucking tree, but it has to go to the goof squad because it's fucking crashed or some fucking assholes. I was fucking busy. Atlanta fucking Georgia. I don't know what the fuck's happened. The fucking traffic. So what to the fucking airport and fucking work. Oh, Atlanta's a whole nother fucking level of suck. The people are crazy. They're driving like they stole somebody's car trying to get away. They're very unfine people. There's not fine people on both sides of this. In Atlanta now, you're taking your life in your fucking hands every time you go through or around town, and you're fucking nuts. From wherever the fuck around the fucking block. Not good. You can eat anytime at the Waffle House. Fucking no other fucking available fucking food. Nashville sucks. Might as well be fucking New Jersey. No, we don't do that because we're smart enough to remember high numbers. You goddamn Yankee carpetbaggers. Fucking have your hands sticking out of a fucking rolling closet. I laughed in the fucking guy's face. Fucking death to you're crazy up there. I'm so old. When I was in school, they didn't have history. My mother charged the light brigade. My social security number is 1. I'm a clumsy fuck. From time to time, I've slipped and busted my big fat ass. Crying like goddamn Kenny Olivier when he doesn't have a 5-star match from Dave Meltzer. Son of a bitch. Fucking fucking roll this shit on. Shit, fucking. They don't play for the U of L Cardinals. Fuck or whatever the fuck. Fucking match. Fucking beat to hell. Fucking looked like you were doing fucking puppet theater. Goddamn shit. Fucking a bunch of little kids playing around. Little shit, wild ass, kick ass, in the WWE, they call themselves actors and entertainers. And oh yeah, fucking, they have to flap their arms so you can tell whether they're rolling or walking. Big, fat, fucking ugly redneck bullies. Fucking, because he looked like shit. The fucking redneck. Shit. Some of these guys have fucking anger management issues. She's Latino. She's not hardly bigger than a hiccup. Fucking, he beat those other girls like they owed her trance. Shit. Fucking. God damn it. Is he running from the law again? I'm querying for you right now. What the fuck? Goddamn shit. You're supposed to be the smart one around here. Do some thinning around here, Brian Ladd. Fucking, well, everybody's getting rich but us. Fucking, and I'm going to get me a cold drink while you talk about your show.
No. Well, there's an example. There was 2.5 minutes of it. That's pretty good.
Fucking shit fuck. Well, you got to send me that. I want to hear the whole thing.
I will send this over.
You got to send me that.
I'm going to do it right now.
What was this young man's name that compiled this?
Sean. No last name, just Sean.
Well, Sean, fucking shit fuck. Fart. Piss out my ass.
Atlanta, what did you say? Atlanta's just full of suck.
Well, the goddamn traffic is just, it's a fucking shit, fucking shit, that traffic.
And with that, the drive-thru has closed. Someone told me they missed that the other day on Twitter. So bring that back for one time. I actually just got a bigger thumb piano with even more notes. So maybe I'll whip that up.
A bigger thumb piano because you have big thumbs?
No, hold on, let me grab this. More.
Oh, forgot. That's a kalimba.
Yes.
That's a kalimba. Now you think you're Maurice White?
Oh, I wish I was as talented as he was. Can you imagine how tough it is to pull this off in the middle of a great R&B or soul track?
Oh my God. Yeah, much better than what you're doing there. Just do it on the fucking fly. The kalimba song.
Well, we want to remind everyone you could hear us this week on the Jim Cornette Experience. It debuts on Friday, and of course, it's available wherever it is that you find your favorite podcast, as well as on the official Jim Cornette YouTube channel, tinyurl.com/official Corny YouTube, or just go to YouTube and search for Jim Cornette. And thank you so much to everyone who's been watching the videos and everyone who's been subscribing to the channel. You get full episodes, you get clips of episodes, omnibus collections, and we have more content in the works for 2020. So stay tuned and subscribe now, the official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can go through the archives. Find out if your question has already been asked by going to the Arcadian Vanguard video channel and going through the Jim Cornette archives. You can follow Jim on Twitter at @TheJimCornette. You can follow me on Twitter at @GreatBrianLast. You can hear me on the 605 Superpodcast at 605pod.com, or available wherever it is that you find your favorite podcasts. Of course, Cornette's Collectibles at JimCornette.com. There is a run on comic books.
No, stop it. I can't take it. I can't take it, baby. No, by next weekend, Behind the Curtain, the softcover edition will be up. Everything else is currently on sale. We're restocking everything again, so there's no interruption in the supply line. But please, in an orderly fashion, without becoming an angry mob, move quietly to JimCornette.com over the next 2 weeks and send me as much money as you got, and you'll get everything for Christmas exactly the way you want it.
Once again, Cornette's Collectibles at JimCornette.com for all of your Jim Cornette merchandise needs. Don't forget, if you need to sue, call Stephen P. New, 888-692-8084, or newlawoffice.com. He is very proud to be the consigliere to the cult of Cornette. Call him today to help you out if you need it. But until Friday on The Experience for Jim Cornette, I'm the Great Brian Last, the humble Great Brian Last. Tally-ho!